without the intent to fertilize an embryo. There we go. We have gone full
Well,
crazy in this country.
Who's going to
I think
enforce
I just
that?
broke. I think I just broke those rules. But well, guilty, Your Honor. Guilty as charged. Really? What kind of a whack job introduces something like that?
I don't know.
Factual basis?
I think he's just trying to get a rise because it was a Democratic.
Yeah, obviously.
It was a Democratic state senator that did it. I think he did it just to kind of poke fun at the Republicans because he says, well, we're regulating women's bodies. We should regulate men's bodies. That's what he was saying. So I think he's doing it just to get a rise out of the GOP legislature.
Are you saying he's trolling?
I would say it's a troll. But you see, you got to watch how you do that because the way it's getting reported is he's not looking like a troll. So he didn't message it as our producer would say, you got to message it when you put it out. You got to message it, Dave, when you put it out. You got to let them know what you mean.
Right. Because, I'm wondering what he means because I wasn't that worried about it the other day when it was like 12 below zero. I mean, it didn't matter then. But now, I'm starting to recover.
You're starting to recover, Ron?
Yeah.
That's good.
Starting to recover.
And Jimmy and Frank were just down at our Florida office. We have two trials coming up. And they were down there. And I was here all alone.
Are they licensed in Florida as
Jimmy Melfi is?
Oh, okay.
So Jimmy's licensed in Florida. So he was down there helping Brian and Chris and Doug on a couple cases. They love
where's the
going
Florida
down
office located for people? Are you in Tampa? Where
We're
are you
in
at?
We have one in Tampa and
Palm
Palm
Beach.
Beach. Jacqueline Soroka, yes. And Mike Harshman's up in Sarasota. So
I mean, for people that go from our area to Florida, they would actually see a Beatrice Cop office.
Yes,
under that
they
name.
could actually see a Beatrice Cop office under that name. That is correct.
One in where are they? Tampa? Where was the other one?
Tampa, Palm Beach, right by your heroes, Mar-a-Lago, about 10 minutes down the road. Okay.
Wow.
I have to go visit
Tampa,
that
Palm Beach.
office. I'm going to go visit that office
Fantastic.
so I could drive by Mar-a-Lago, take a picture, and send it to you so you could be all excited, Ron.
Well, I certainly hope you don't do what you did when you saw Phil Donahue. Okay.
I don't think the Secret Service
around.
would let me within 50 feet of POTUS. Okay.
I know, but I mean, I got to keep my eye on you because some of the stories I'm trying to think. Last week you were on fire. Last week, I mean, I got so many.
I had that guy from New Jersey call. Remember, he and Frank were talking about the Belmont Inn, and then it was like, what was it called? Belmont Tavern.
The guy called me for 6 and said, "Hey, best legal show ever."
It was pretty good, Ron.
That was good.
It was pretty good.
And it's just the fascination with your life. It's just like I was talking to my son Eric, and we say the same thing. His life is better than the Kardashians. His life should be on one of these TV channels.
Oh yeah, let's think a reality show out of my life. That'd be fun.
Right.
It is a reality show.
It is a reality.
It's
show.
100% a reality.
100%. 100%.
Last night, Ron, I came downstairs and he was hard at work on a project for TikTok, and I haven't seen him so diligent in years. I mean,
oh really?
No, it's not a shot.
No,
It's
but
not
what
a
I'm saying
shot.
is when I'm in trial, I'm that diligent.
Okay.
It had
It's not a shot.
It had
Let's-
66,000 views since last night.
Why are you so defensive when Frank's trying to pay you a compliment? I mean,
Because
Yeah,
he hangs around Brian too much. I
No,
call
it
him
was a
Brian
true
Jr.
compliment.
No,
he's paying you a compliment.
Nah,
we
nah.
didn't even bring up.
See,
we didn't even bring
Jimmy-
up you ate his lunch.
What?
That you ate his lunch out of the refrigerator.
No,
We
it
forgot
wasn't
all
mine.
that stuff.
No, he
It
ate my
was-
lunch,
It was
Ron.
Jimmy's lunch, and it was chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A.
Today?
That was that
Not
was a
this
week
week.
ago. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, Jim, has it been okay this week?
He's been in Florida all week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, boy, you must be starving, Dave.
I am.
He's starving, but the good thing about David working on that project is when Frank's boys have current events class next semester, they're going to use David's board for their show and tell project.
For sure.
It's perfect.
It's definitely, we could reuse it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can reuse
Yeah,
it.
it's
How about the other great Beatrice story? I'm in California. I go to the Menendez brothers trial. I mean, it's
Oh, yeah.
amazing,
I
boy.
did.
That's,
I mean,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he was at both.
I was at both.
yeah, I mean,
Seriously?
so he-
Yeah.
he-
So what had happened in between their two trials was the OJ trial. So the first time it was tried, it was a hung jury. Okay. Then they tried it again, and the judge didn't let them raise the defense. It was it was like a voluntary manslaughter here. They're saying that the father provoked them because he was sexually harassing them, but the judge didn't let them bring that in. And so the only thing the jury had a choice was between purposeful killing or
Yeah.
an acquittal.
So they convicted.
So they convicted.
Yeah, and they took it all the way up.
And all the mitigating factors didn't
Yeah.
come in the second trial. Who was
Yeah.
the lawyer again? The female.
I forget her name.
I can't think of it.
She was just in the Netflix special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was a bulldog.
Scrappy. Yeah.
hmm
Oh yeah, she was
I'm,
scrappy.
I'm trying to think if I would be back in the days.
She wouldn't even talk. Do
Trial.
you remember? She
But,
they only talked to the
can you imagine
prosecutor. And
If
they
it was
asked
on television and you look and there's Beatrice in the crowd watching the trial.
Oh
what the hell's he doing
gosh. Oh gosh.
Do you make an appearance in any of the documentaries? Because that trial was live.
I know,
cameras
but I
were
was
in
there
there.
for one day. I was just, my wife's family was from Los Angeles, from not too far from the courthouse where it was at. I said, I want to go check it out, you know?
It's like Where's Waldo? Where's Beatrice? He's
Yeah,
in, he's
I
in the
went
back
in
left
there
corner of
and
the gallery.
went in there.
Who ever would have thought though the notoriety behind it years later? Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
seriously.
I mean, these two lawyers, when I watched that documentary and the prosecutor said, I can't say anything. I'm
may get
afraid
sued.
I'm going to get sued.
Yeah,
You should have seen them in court.
they hated each other.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you who else is battling it out. Leslie Abramson. I'll tell you who else is battling it out is Sean Combs's lawyers and the U.S. attorneys.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, they're going at it.
They are going at it.
One of them is who is?
Greg Agnifilo.
Yeah, right. But
He's
then-
the husband of Karen Friedman
and then
Agnifilo.
Jay-Z's lawyer is Shapiro.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
they are going at it in that case. You want to talk about, oh my God. And it's a really complicated conspiracy to commit RICO case and all the deadlines on it. Oh my God. There's 8 U.S. attorneys on it. And then behind all those U.S. attorneys is a team of paralegals and investigators.
In the letter writing to the judges, I mean, it's
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
and
going
they
at
had
it.
a big fight over. He's at MDC, same place where Luigi Mangione is, and they did a sweep, and they had a big fight over something they took, and it was letters, and they used it in the detention
Yeah.
hearing, and the lawyers were losing their minds.
Yeah.
And then they filed a motion, and then they filed a motion saying you violated the protective order, and then they had to redact the letter motions. Oh, these guys are, I mean, they are going at it.
Yeah.
You could just tell from the pleadings, there is no love lost between those lawyers.
Yeah, they're at war. And the prison that they're being held at, Ron, is MDC in Brooklyn. It's the federal prison, and like they say, it's like the worst of the worst, man.
Yeah.
It's like Alcatraz. If you hear the stories about it.
It's brutal. But you talk about viruses in jail. Every time I go to the Miami County Jail, I get a virus.
Not that type.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, Jerry Green, without, he runs a very, look, we got a great sheriff. I don't care what anyone says. He does a good job. He has good deputies. They provide security. They're professional. And you just don't hear any shenanigans out of that office. I mean,
They're a well-run
Yeah,
organization.
and he he does active hiring and
It's a good thing.
I mean, no, he's a great sheriff. Believe me when I tell you, I told him now that Donald Trump's in, he could become a U.S. Marshal. He goes, nope, I want to stay Mahoney County Sheriff. I said, okay, stay Mahoney County Sheriffs.
That's what matters. You know what I admire most? I say this to Jim and Frank. Think of what a man this guy is. He goes out to California and he doesn't spend time with his wife's family. Somehow he convinces him that he's going to go to. I mean, he was smart enough to say, "Oh, I'm going to go watch this trial."
Right.
The average guy wouldn't have the guts to do that. But Beatrice,
I spent the whole day there. I got there early in the morning. Watched the whole day.
Yeah, he was just enhancing his profession.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
He's
and then
professional
when
growth.
the second trial was, I thought they didn't like each other in the first trial. The second trial, they were throw. I mean, I swear to God, the judge was on the bench. They were just nasty.
Oh, I bet.
But did your relatives at any point say, "Honey, where's your husband?" Oh, he's down at the courthouse watching the Menendez brothers.
Yeah, I had to go down there and watch.
Do you ever get that now? Honey, where's your husband?
No, I don't get that now.
At the Menendez brothers trial.
Yeah.
So
who knows,
whatever happened? Did the governor rule on that
Not yet.
clemency?
I was
yet?
going to say they
Well,
went quiet
he got
on
beat. The DA got beat in the election. So the prosecuting
they're
attorney
waiting,
who was on board got beat by a more, I don't know if it was a Republican Democrat thing, but most certainly a more conservative DA took that spot because that was the big gripe.
Yeah,
about
but
the
if you try that case today,
I couldn't agree more. I don't think politics should have any play in it. I think that if it would be tried today,
they would be found guilty of
they would, and they'd be out already.
They'd be out already. Yeah,
And I mean, they just would be.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, they killed their parents. All right, and it was a brutal murder too. It's a brutal murder.
It was a bloody,
we'll
brutal murder.
Oh, it's a very brutal.
Have
murder,
you
that
watched
kind of stuff.
Have you watched the Netflix documentary on it, Ron?
I'm not interested in that as much as I'm interested in what were you doing with 60,000 views on what was it, TikTok? What were you talking about?
No, my one TikTok had 9 million views, Ron.
Okay, well, tell me about. Weren't you doing one? Frank was saying that you were concentrating on it.
Yeah,
I was doing a storyboard. Okay,
you were concentrating
because
for TikTok.
It was a shadow box
who
for show and
is
tell.
primarily on TikTok are Gen X, Gen Zs, and millennials. That's where they get their news. They don't read newspapers.
And
they
you
don't.
Were doing
That's where
there.
they get their information from. And
Well,
a lot
what
of
were you
them,
doing
what
on
I've
there?
learned, don't understand the system. And a lot of them are like, the comments I'm getting are a little alarming to me. So that's why I'm staying on it. A lot of them are saying, well, we don't care if he did it. That guy deserved it. And I'm going, no, you can't have vigilante justice. You should see the comments there.
Well, I mean,
It's-
I don't think there's any way to justify that guy deserved it.
Right.
He's
Oh
a
my
young
God, you
guy
should
with
see-
a young family.
I know that, but you should see the comments.
Oh, I understand that. I mean,
And then the heartbreaking comments where some woman sent me a message and she goes, I know you say no violence, but I don't care if he did it. I had, I was 22 years old or 21 and they denied my health care. And I had to have a double mastectomy because they wouldn't let me get this test and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I felt bad for her because in her reality, that insurance company made her more ill,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, and I understand that. There could always
You must be making a
progress.
really good. You must be making a good case, stating your case, though, Dave, convincing those folks. All right, let's take some calls. You want to do that?
Sure, Ron.
All right, you're on with our attorneys tonight. Hello there. First call.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm going to try to say this. It'll make sense the first time.
Okay.
My dad is 94. His property is in a trust, and I'm the youngest son of 2 other siblings. And I would like to purchase my father's house, but I know it'd be easy to do but I know there's going to be something I would miss or not know or something, but how can I negotiate with him? He wants to.
Well, first of all, is it a revocable? Hold on. Is it a revocable or irrevocable trust?
I don't know.
Well, you need to know that because if it's an irrevocable trust, he no longer has control over that property. If it's a revocable
Well,
trust,
he's the trustee.
I understand he's a trustee.
It says the trustee.
I appreciate that. Okay. But if in a revocable trust, you could revoke it and say, I'm revoking it. Or if he's the trustee and the beneficiary, he can dispose of the property and sell it to you. But I'll caution you, should your father need any kind of extended care, there's a 5-year look back period. So if he sells it to you and then he gets sick and has to go into a care facility, he might have to private pay that because Medicare might not pick that up.
Yeah. Okay, so what kind of a trust does it have to be that he can sell it?
A revocable.
Okay. And that would say that right in the paperwork?
It should. Let me give you a number of lawyers that, because these lawyers are going to caution you because they do a lot more estate planning than we do. Do you have a pen and paper there?
Yeah.
Okay, it's Johnson & Johnson, 333-533-1921. And any one of the lawyers over there can help you out. You don't want to make mistakes now, okay? Because
Right.
what will happen is say next year your father gets ill and he has to go into a nursing home. Well, Medicare is not going to pay for extended care unless you're destitute, okay? And so they have a right to claw back property or assets he's gotten out of his name within the last 5 years. So call those lawyers. I'm sure they'll be able to help you out. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. News Radio 570 WKBN, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, I have a question on a traffic accident.
Okay.
All right.
I was involved in an accident, and I wasn't at fault. And the insurance company of the other vehicle said that they weren't going to be liable for the accident because it was caused by a third vehicle. Is
All right,
there
so-
anything I can do with that? They want me to turn it in on my own insurance.
Well, of course they do. Of course they do.
Yes.
Because you know how insurance companies
I
make
mean,
money?
arbitrarily, and the other vehicle went left to center and hit me. I was stopped behind the first vehicle.
Were you injured?
No.
Okay. So the person that caused the accident,
Yes.
he is at fault, but also the person that hit you could be at fault. It just depends on how the accident occurred. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they're telling me, and I just assumed because the vehicle that hit me went left to center and almost head on, but it was kind of like he got slid sideways. So they're saying he was trying to avoid an accident, and I got caught up in it.
Well, if you're
So
I
don't know.
I'm not
I thought if you went
I'm
left
not
to center,
buying
you
what
were
they're
at fault.
I'm not picking up what they're throwing down. So he was
Yeah,
trying to
neither am I.
avoid an accident and he hit you and he's not at fault.
Doesn't make
Right.
sense.
Did you get a copy of the crash report?
I do.
And who
I
did
have a
they
copy of
cite
it.
in the accident report?
And actually, I don't believe anybody was cited because they opted not to write a ticket.
Well,
It was
look,
it
you
was
could turn
a
it in.
local-
Whoever else was at fault in the accident, you can go after their
Right.
insurance
And
company.
if they had insurance, it's typically listed on the crash report. So
Right.
I would look at that driver and see if they had insurance
And
listed.
you know what that driver's insurance company's going to say?
It's the other guys.
It's the other guy's fault. That's what they're going to say.
Exactly. And the first one that started the whole thing by making a left-hand turn in front of the other guy left. But I did get their license plate number, and I gave that to the officer.
All
Wow, is
right.
it time for a break already, Ron?
Yep.
Jeez,
Thank you, my
man, Ron,
friends.
that went by fast.
We'll come back right after this with the attorneys from Beatrice Cotton.
The recent wildfires that ravaged Los Angeles now account for one of the largest disasters in the history of our country. Now, iHeartRadio is bringing you an historic fundraising event
The Fire Aid Benefit Concert.
live in Los Angeles.
Donate today at
I know they're there. Let's take some more calls. Before we take another call, can you guys explain if this guy says, "Hey, the guy who was swerving to avoid the accident who hit him"? Shouldn't that be the guy whose insurance pays for the damage?
But you didn't hear what he
car?
said. That other guy said, no, it's the other guy's fault. So look, this is how insurance companies make money. It's a basic business model. You ready? You
Yes.
take more money in than you pay out.
Let me write this down. Take more money in than pay out. Got
Right.
it.
So he's probably going to wind up in small claims court because one of them is at fault. I know he's not at fault. And neither one of them want to take responsibility for it. And so they tell him, well, go put it into your own insurance company.
And he said one of the guys was a hit and run too. And he has his license plate. So chances he has insurance.
Well,
right. But the reality is the person that would be responsible would be the person who hit his car that caused the
I just
damage.
don't know how the accident occurred. So I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. It's like when you're talking about how insurance companies make money, there's this guy I see occasionally on a TV commercial talk about, this is a nationwide building and all this kind of stuff.
I don't know who you're talking about, Ron. But insurance companies are very profitable entities in this country. Very profitable.
Right. All right. Let's take more calls. You're on the
So
air with
are
our
banks.
attorneys tonight. Hello. Next call. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
What's your question?
Yes. Yeah. I saw Dave. I saw you at Beloit at the election. I have a GMC diesel that there's a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit against GM, but it had to be Pennsylvania, and I live in Ohio. I bought the vehicle in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I got a $10,000 repair and the class action suit. And I called your office one time, but nobody ever got back to me about it. It's a GMC P4.
Okay. Are you in the class for the class action?
Well, I don't know. Yes. The vehicle is, but I'm not the original owner, even though I bought it from a person in Pennsylvania.
You should find out
a few years ago.
You should find out which law firm is handling the class action, and write them an email or call them and see what you can't find out. It doesn't. It goes with the car, not with the owner. So if they have a defect, and you wound up purchasing that defect, then you should be the one entitled to the remedy. Okay?
Because it was over $10,000, and that hurt.
That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I mean, not for Frank or Jimmy, but for me, it's a lot of money.
I saw the class action suit, but I don't know who's handling. I have no idea.
Well, you have a Google machine?
Of course.
You have a Google machine?
So go in there and put in.
You're funny.
Funny guy.
Go to your.
Funny how?
Funny how? I amuse you?
Am I a clown? Do I amuse you?
Do I amuse you? Now go home and get your shine box.
How am I funny, Henry? Tell me, Henry.
I'm coming after you now.
All right. Well, go on to Google machine and find out.
All right.
You're on the air with our attorneys tonight. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, your comment, please.
Hi. A few months ago, I was at work and I started feeling lightheaded and I slumped over. And my employer called 911 and the ambulance came and they took my blood pressure and all that and everything was fine. They said I don't need transport and all that. Then I got a bill for $400 and I got another bill and now they're threatening to take me to collections if I don't pay it. Do I have to pay that? I mean, I wasn't transported or anything. All they did was take my blood pressure.
Well, do you have insurance?
Yeah, I gave my insurance information, and they said that the insurance denied it.
Well, you were.
I would think
I would think you're responsible because here's the point: you were slumped over, and so your employer did the responsible thing by calling the ambulance because, God forbid, something worse would have happened to you. So, and you did. They did come out. I mean, have you talked to your employer about it?
They didn't comment. They didn't say anything. I mean, I had a stroke about a year ago, and this is like a residual effect of that. That's what caused that episode.
Well, you're lucky they called an ambulance.
Yeah, you're lucky they called an ambulance. But if
for
you're asking me, they rendered a service to you, and that's a low hospital. I mean, that's a low ambulance bill, to be
Right.
honest with
Yes.
Is it already in collections, caller?
No, they threatened to take him to collections. The thing is, I
Call-
wasn't transported or
Yeah,
anything.
I understand, but call the company to see if they'll take,
A reduction.
a reduction for payment in full.
Yeah.
See if they'll take $200, $250,
Okay.
Okay.
and they'll accept this payment.
But remember what Dave said,
Okay.
caller. They did come to your aid, and they were there. Okay, and that's
All
not
right.
free.
Okay. All right,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
mean,
Thank you.
I understand he didn't call them, but he was passed out.
Yeah, I hope if I'm slumped over,
I
someone
hope
calls.
if
Somebody
I'm
calls,
slumped.
I
Oh,
agree.
Yeah,
I could tell you who's not going to call if I get slumped over, Ron. You don't expect Jimmy or Frank to call, do you? They're going to be going, is
In a
that
heartbeat.
Dave? Is he breathing? Wait till he
No, I'm
stops
sure.
breathing.
You know what? I'm kind of offended that you would say something because I'm sure Jimmy and Frank would call the funeral home immediately.
we'd probably take a few pictures of him and then call.
Right.
Oh, don't get me started, Jimmy. Don't get me
Right.
started with pictures and Frank.
No,
Don't get me started.
Listen,
What?
I got.
I don't know how Frank, he works for the National Security Agency. He's got more compromising photos of me and videos of any person I know. He's the reason I will never run for office, because if he has that, God only knows what other videos are out there of me.
And thank God, Attorney Melfi made it into a calendar that we all want copies
Yes,
of. You know,
yes.
of those pictures.
Don't worry, I'm getting ready for calendar number 2 next Christmas. I'm
Oh,
compiling.
beautiful. Please put me, if you wouldn't mind, Melfi, put me on the Christmas list. I'd like a copy to hang here in the studio.
I
I can
bet
do
you
that.
would.
Yeah, I absolutely would. Oh, let's see what Dave is doing in December as we turn it up. All right, so let's go to our next call. You're on with our attorneys tonight. Hello, News Radio 570 WQAM. Go ahead.
Hi, Ron. Mr. Beatrice,
Yes, sir.
the prosecutor in the OJ trial was Marcia Clark.
Yeah.
How could you forget that name?
No. We were talking about the
guy in
Menendez
US had a
case.
crush on her.
Yeah, he was talking about the Menendez brothers.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the OJ trial. too.
No, what I said, between the first Menendez trial and the second Menendez trial, the OJ trial happened.
Sure.
And that's what sucked all the
and
oxygen
I
out.
thought you said you forgot the prosecutor's name.
No. No.
Anyways, it was Marcia Clark. So
Yeah.
All right.
And the other guy's name
and
was
half the guys had a crush on her, right?
Thank you. All
Daryl.
right. Who are you talking about?
The other prosecutor in OJ.
Oh, yeah.
I forget his name, but
Those
you're
guys-
on the right path.
Those guys were ruined after that case.
Yeah, but they like all got book deals, and then they all.
I
got
know,
big-
but still,
big
they had
positions. Well, yeah, but
they had a that is an example of jury knowledge.
Darden.
Darden.
yeah.
Christopher Darden.
Christopher Darden was his name.
People are asking me, have I ever heard of jury nullification? That is a case I think that there was jury nullification on. I think that jury just said, we're not convicting him. We don't care what the evidence is, because they had a lot of evidence in
Yeah,
that
they did.
case. But that was just at the advent of DNA. If you remember,
Yeah.
that's when DNA first started.
Wasn't it the first trial DNA was used?
I don't think it was the first one,
No,
but
it was.
They brought in the
most-
expert.
Most certainly the most prominent one.
yeah,
Great TV show with Cuba Gooding Jr.
yeah.
It was.
But then they take him into civil court where the burden of proof is lower, and they find him civilly liable.
Yeah.
And I remember that verdict coming out. I was a lawyer. I remember it as the day I'm sitting here. Like, I remember it and the differing reactions. It was just unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
The OJ verdict.
Oh yeah, just unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
no one thought, and they were out like 3 hours.
Yeah.
It was like a 4-month trial,
Oh, yeah, right.
5-month trial, and they were out in 3
Yeah,
hours. They
didn't
come back.
the prosecution called a ton of witnesses.
Oh yeah, they had. And I remember it. If the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit. And and he put it on his hand, and Christopher Darden later said, "Why wouldn't I let it put him on his hand? Everything in the case pointed to him. His blood was everywhere. I mean, they had all kinds of."
But then there was the detective that they know planted the.
Well, I think what happened is this is my own theory. I think he did it, and I think the detective tried to help the case a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Next call for our attorneys tonight. You're on the air. Legal show, courtesy
Yeah,
of
how
Beatrice
you
Scott.
guys doing? This has to do with you guys have an office down around Tampa, Florida. This has to do with like pretty much county government. there was a lady that had a fence put up by the county at a park behind her house, and it got damaged by one of the hurricanes. They're trying to shake her down for $7,000. Is that legal?
Who's trying to shake her down?
He's saying the county,
The
put
county
up a
government
fence.
down around Tampa Bay was a little town called South Park 3. They put a fence up around the county park, and it got destroyed. They want this lady on Social Security to pay $7,000 to repair the fence. Is that legal?
It doesn't smell right to me. But they might have some.
Pull
They
that
have
up
some
on
weird
Google.
laws down
Pull
in
that up
Florida.
on Google and ask for the lady down there. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, did she damage the fence?
No, the hurricane come through and knocked the fence down, but they're saying she's responsible for the damage.
Why are they saying that?
They want her to pay for the fence, so they don't have to pay for
Did
it.
she vet the letter that she received? Did she actually call whoever sent it? Because this does not smell
She went to a
right.
lawyer, and they're fighting it down. You guys can pull it up on Google. It was a little town called South Park 3 in Florida. You guys got an office down around Tampa Bay, so you probably look into that. I mean, that sounds strange to me, too.
It sounds very strange to me.
All right. Hey.
You're on the air with our attorneys tonight. Hello. Caller, are you there? All right. You're on the air with the attorneys tonight. Hello.
Yes, hello. I have an acquaintance at work who, when his son passed away, I loaned him $500 for the funeral, to help him with the funeral. And in the meantime, he gave me about $700 or $800 worth of vintage toys to sell on eBay to pay myself back and give him the balance. Now, he passed away in the interim. And he only has a former wife. They're divorced. His only son is deceased. And there's a girlfriend around in the area who the police were able to contact and let him in the house to find out that the gentleman had died. How do I find out who his estate is so that I can give any extra monies to the appropriate people, to the estate, I guess?
I got to commend you for your honesty. How much did you sell the toys for?
Well, they're going to sell. I didn't sell them yet. I sold some stuff for him and let him keep the money because he was in a bad way. I sold some stuff for about $1,200 and gave him the money. And then he gave me probably, I would say $700 or $800 worth of toys, and I would recoup my $500. And then I have this extra money that does not belong to me.
Well,
but his only relative is deceased, except for an ex-wife.
Well, you're going to have to see if an estate gets opened up. And if an estate,
how do I do that?
Well, I would tell you not to worry about it and just check and see if an estate gets opened up.
If you feel guilty, donate to a charity that you think he would maybe, be involved in, or maybe a toy charity for kids or something.
You're a better citizen than 99% of people out there.
You're probably not going to find anybody. And if you do find anybody who says he would want the money to go to them.
Right. Maybe.
Well, listen, the only person around is an ex-wife of his.
Bro, I know.
Well,
doesn't want to go to her.
Yeah.
And his
of his deceased son.
And does he have any children?
No, they're deceased. He had one son. An
So
adult son.
anything he
died
had,
a month
it would
ago.
then go. Does he have brothers and sisters?
No.
So he has
Did
no
he-
brothers
he
or
has an-
sisters.
Did he have a will?
No, it is.
Wait a minute. Was
I don't
he?
know that.
Was
That's
he
what
an
I was trying to
only?
find out.
Was
Who the
he an?
estate is.
Well, hold on a second. Was he an only child?
As to my knowledge, he was an only child.
And
Or
he has.
the only surviving. He has no surviving siblings.
Well, if his deceased siblings had children, it would go to them technically under if someone dies intestate. But by the
I mean,
time
it's
you
only
would
a couple
spend,
$100, I'm sure. But please tell me, how do I find out if he has a will or an estate?
it would be filed in the county in which he was deceased.
So Mahoney, if it's Mahoning County,
No, he's down in, where does he live?
Yeah.
Jefferson County.
Yeah, you
Okay,
could check
so
the Jefferson County
County.
probate court and see if an estate gets opened up.
And if not, then keep the money.
you-
All right, and have a dinner.
You
and
guys are
his-
great. You guys are great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You don't
He's-
think
he's-
Ron's great though, right?
Oh no, I would have pocketed the $200. I would have said, oh, you know what I mean? I'm like
He
you know, I thought-
literally could spend more money.
trying
to find
them
it.
than he could.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel that way, give it to charity.
Ron.
I wonder if his son had any children.
Yes, David, go ahead.
I was wondering if we had any more calls.
Well, I thought you said my name. I thought you wanted to ask me something, or you were concerned about.
I'm not concerned about
a dilemma in your life, or the crossroads that you needed some input
No,
or
I have
advice
no
on,
dilemmas.
or guidance on, or
No,
anything along those
I just
lines.
wanted to tell people we have a YouTube channel now, and we're regularly filming and
Now,
providing.
to explain to us what that's all about. You have your own YouTube channel, and what can we find on there?
Well, we have a lot of material. We cover. Frank's going to do the YouTube. They're about 7-8 minutes long. Some of them are longer. Some of them are shorter. And just, you can find, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to it. And we're going to do it twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and just on different topics. Just trying
like
to educate.
Current topics, or do you just try
Current
to explain
topics?
the law in general?
Frank tonight's going to talk about what happens if you get pulled over and what you have to do and not have to do. It's just, just something for the public to have access to.
It's informative.
It's informative.
All right, so it covers what current events and educational purposes.
Yeah,
if you will.
absolutely.
On YouTube, and it's what do you find it under on YouTube?
Beatrice Cop.
Beatrice Cop, your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Plus, aren't you on Twitter and all that stuff? Or
I
X or whatever?
don't use Twitter. I don't use X much anymore. It's just too political over there.
And what do you use?
I'm on Instagram. The firm has an Instagram page. I have a TikTok page, and I'm on Facebook, but I don't use Facebook. I can't keep up with them all. I mean, my phone blows up. Someone sent you a message. Someone sent you this. And I feel bad because I had a cousin.
What?
Family was trying to notify me about my cousin. I didn't, pick up the phone and call me. You don't send me something on Facebook, right?
That's the last place you check is a Facebook message.
I know, but I felt bad.
Yeah, that is.
So they said,
I
so
missed
your
someone's
family sent you
birthday
a message.
party, and they said, "Well, we sent you an invite on Facebook." I go, "That's the last place I go. I just don't use Facebook anymore."
Yeah, I don't like
Why
Facebook
not?
invites, text invites. No.
Why don't you use Facebook, Dave?
I don't know. I post stuff on TikTok, then I post it to Instagram. Since Instagram and Facebook are the same thing, whatever I post on Instagram goes over to Facebook.
What do you make of this TikTok controversy where, it was off, they did away with it, then they put it back on?
What do I want? What do I know from a personal? Are you asking me personally or from a legal standpoint?
Both.
I think those senators that passed that law had some classified information that motivated them to either force ByteDance to sell it. Now, my understanding of the law is they could still own 20% of it, but an American company has to own 80% of it, is the way the law is written. Okay? So something compelled those senators, because you have to get 60 senators. Okay? It's not easy to pass legislation banning it. They took it up to the United States Supreme Court. TikTok said it deserved strict scrutiny. The United States government argued that it deserved intermediate scrutiny. And the court found it to be on intermediate scrutiny grounds that it served a necessary government interest, not a compelling government interest, because they have these different tests regarding the Bill of Rights and substantial rights. And so if the government is suppressing your speech, it's strict scrutiny. It has to be a compelling governmental interest and narrowly drawn to meet the governmental interest. On an intermediate test, it has to be a necessary government interest, and it basically does what it says it does. The court, I read the whole court decision. It was a 9-0 decision. So all 9 justices found that law to be constitutional. Now, they did shut it down on Sunday, but then the new president filed or signed an executive order. An executive order cannot override legislation. So legislation passed by Congress is stronger than an executive order. So if someone was to sue over that executive order, it could probably get overturned. But my understanding is they're trying to just slow it down a little bit and then see if an American company or something will buy it. But I was reading some statistics about it. Anyone 35 and under, that's primarily where they're getting their news from.
Right. And what kind of Chinese propaganda are they talking? Usually when you see anything posted on it, it's pretty comical stuff.
Well,
I mean,
it's
mainly young people.
Well, but the algorithms they could play with, okay? And the algorithms they could look, the congressmen and the senators got classified information from our intelligence agencies as to what the danger of that app is, okay? And it must have been compelling enough for them to pass that law.
And the Supreme Court to vote that way.
And well, the Supreme Court didn't find it to be under strict scrutiny because they're not regulating content. They just said you can't have it at all. See, they're not making a distinction between one or the other. They're not saying you could say this, but you can't say that. They just said no content. So if the government's neutral on something, okay, that's why it got the intermediate scrutiny, okay, because it wasn't based on any content. They just said they're based on national security concerns and the way they were collecting information, and it was owned and any company. ByteDance, it's a company, but ultimately the Chinese Communist Party owns that, just like any other Chinese company. It's all controlled by the state, so it's communism. And so there must have been data collection they were worried about because they didn't want government workers using it on their government phones. Listen, Ron, here's what I know. You have no idea, and the American public has no idea. The European Union has their you-know-what together way better than America. Like, they have enacted really strict privacy guidelines in the European Union regarding your cell phone. We have not done that in America. And literally, that computer in your hand, data brokers get it. And that's why you see certain ads. And that's why you get sent certain texts. And that's why, you'd be surprised how these data brokers use these algorithms based on your searches and sell it to each other. And there's not a whole lot of privacy, I'll be honest with you. Okay? I mean, you could find out a lot of things about a lot of people just because they have a cell phone. That's just the reality of it. I mean, I wished Congress would make it a lot more strict. But if you notice now, Apple on their own did it. Is this app allowed to follow you? I mean, some of the apps, they could follow you. I mean, people tell me stories. They'll be talking on their phone and about something, and then next time they go on Prime, they're getting ads for stuff.
It's amazing.
Or you search for something on your phone, and the next time I go do a search, I'm getting ads for stuff.
It's like what my wife does. Whatever she wants, she says it to my phone, and then all of a sudden I get ads for it. It's amazing.
Yeah. I don't let Siri in my house, and it's just because it just freaks me out. Like I'm probably, I'm a boomer, so I don't. My wife has a one in the kitchen, and
Alexa, you mean?
Yeah.
What did you say?
Alexa,
Google, they all have them.
What's the Google machines?
I call that the Google. I use Google for my search engine, but you have Bing, you have a lot of them.
Yeah.
I mean, and it freaks me out. She'll go, what's the Alexa, turn on the music, and it turns on the music. I'm like, yeah, that's freaking me out. Like, that's tied to the internet. And then I have my home looks like a penitentiary. I got cameras and floodlights everywhere. I do. I mean, I got cameras everywhere. I can't stand up in the middle of the day. I'll get on a thing. The front door alarm went off. I go look at it, and it's catching cars that are driving by.
It's the sensitivity. My camera does that too.
It
It's
drives
amazing.
me
All
nuts.
right.
Yeah, you turn it
Hey,
down.
another program under our belts, guys, brought to you by Beatrice.
Tomorrow
Cup.
morning, we're going to talk about executive orders.
All right. We'll look forward to it. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it. News Radio 570 WKBN. News is next. Back with the bits. A little more
Portions of
conversation.
the following program will be recorded. Warren Marble and Granite creates legacies. A memorial is to honor the lives of those who have enriched ours. We create timeless monuments with the finest materials of granite and bronze with unwavering dedication. For over a century, families have trusted us. We honor that trust by delivering exceptional craftsmanship and